Bitcoin has seen a nice little pump over the last week, and for those of you who have been tuning into my last few videos, this shouldn't really come as too much of a surprise for you. What I'm going to do today is just take a quick little peek at a few charts and see if this rally is sustainable or not. If that sounds good to you guys, smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and with that, let's get it. Alright guys, just gonna actually start things off by looking at my 4-hour chart here, and you guys will remember from my last video I was pointing out this red downward sloping resistance line, and I figured that that would provide a little bit of resistance for us. You can see that it did. We got this very short-term correction here, but then we broke right above it, and we are currently actually even respecting it a little bit. You can see that so far we are even on these 4-hour candles just wicking right down to that line, which you guys know my thoughts on that. I love to see resistance lines flip into support lines and vice versa. You love to see support flip into resistance in a downtrend. So this looks good to me. If I flip over to my 1 hour even, you can see that 1 hour candle bodies are really respecting that. So far we're seeing a beautiful little bounce off this level. Yes, it is very early to say that this was successful. I mean, we could even just trend down on this line for quite a while here. But as far as early warning shots fired from the bulls here, I'm liking what I see here. I would really appreciate if the price would stay above this low setback here. For now, things are looking good. I'm actually in a little bit of a long with the retest of this line, so I hope it works out for me, at least for a little while here, so I can claim some profits and secure my position so I don't have to suffer a loss here. But just flipping back to my 4-hour, like I said, I was watching that red downward sloping resistance line. Since we have broke that, my next levels of resistance really wouldn't be until about 28,000 and higher. Obviously, we don't have to pump right to this level. You guys, for those of you who have seen my last few videos, you know where this line came from, or this box rather. That would just be my old support box of this range here, our macro support, which dropped. So in a healthy downtrend, that would be respected as resistance, flipping from support into resistance. Does it have to happen? Absolutely not. It never happened when we broke down from our 6K region in our previous bear market. Doesn't have to happen right now either. So I mean, same with this line here. Obviously, it does not have to hold as support, but so far, so good. So that is something to consider here. Just going to hop over to my chart, which I've been pointing out to you guys for weeks at this point. You know, this yellow upward sloping support line dates back all the way to 2011. So I'm loving that it is still holding as support. Same with my green box here, my old market cycle high turning into our new cycle low, hopefully, if this level is to hold. What I don't like is this weekly candle that we just had close here. Although, yes, we never dumped and we are starting to climb a little bit now. I love to see that. What I don't like to see is I was hoping that yesterday's weekly candle close would have been green. I was hoping that we would have eclipsed the candle before it. It hasn't happened, so it is showing a little bit of weakness in my opinion, but we are still technically trading at support. And although, yes, the longer we hang out at support, the weaker it gets, and we may end up taking a nasty nuke to the downside. But so far, we are still supporting this box and this line as support, and support will remain support until it's broken. So we have to keep that in mind, guys. Let's not be too hasty to panic and flip bearish here. So far, we are just holding support. People love to flip bearish at support and love to get way too bullish at resistance. So this is one of those classic cases you see in social media. Everybody is just unbelievably bearish. Actually, now with this very little pump, people are very quick to flip bullish, so we're gonna have to keep our eye on that. But last week, you'll know I was very vocal about this, that people were flipping quite bearish, thinking that we have to drop down to 10K. And although, yes, I outlined some potential situations there where that could happen, it doesn't have to. So anyone who's saying that the market has to drop to a certain level, they don't know shit. Nothing has to happen and the market will humble you. So We're just going to have to watch how this plays out. So far, like I said, support is holding. What I do like about this, even though, yes, like I said, we're not getting much of a strong bounce, so that does concern me a little bit with this weakness, but we are still consolidating on top of this green box. I'd be a lot more concerned if we dropped below and started kind of consolidating along the bottom of this box, flipping into more of resistance again, just like back here. I would be a little more concerned, but so far, this isn't all too concerning for me. I think Bitcoin is still potentially in a very nice accumulation spot. I think it's an excellent time to be spot buying. Like I said, I'm actually in a long from that 4-hour chart that I pointed out earlier. So we'll have to see how all these things go. But yeah, so far not too concerned, not too worried. I think this move could have some legs left in it. Another thing I want to talk about is our RSI has actually regained a little bit of ground here, and we're no longer in oversold territory. So that's absolutely beautiful to see that we did get back above this green dotted line here. Yes, this previous candle that closed yesterday, we were still in oversold territory here. So the candle we're currently on has climbed out of that range, but there is about 6 days left in this candle, so there's a lot of time for it to drop down back into oversold territory. And in that case, guys, I would start to really consider the idea that we just have a shit ton of selling pressure and we're not necessarily oversold, like in previous market cycles where I've outlined these oversold conditions with these vertical green lines. If we are to actually establish a bottom here, and we are going to start, well, not necessarily a new bull market where we're actually going to crush all-time highs and stuff like that, I think it's a lot more realistic that we kind of trade sideways in some sort of a bigger range. Don't know what that'll look like yet, but I think personally that if we do get a very big pump that really gets the bulls hooing and hawing again, I think we would start running into trouble around 49k, and that's just kind of going back to where we were finding resistance here, a little bit of support here. And where this line actually comes from is, if you guys know that I love my Fibonacci tool, and more specifically I love the 618 and the 786 Fibonacci lines. And that goes for support levels and resistance levels. So in this case, I'd be looking for resistance. I'd pull top to bottom, and our 618 would line up approximately 49k or a little higher. And just to show you what I mean, if we go back to our previous market cycle, we established our bear market low with our oversold RSI here on the weekly. If I pull my Fibonacci top to bottom, you can see that the very first, almost a parabolic pump, that was a very aggressive pump. Let's just see what the percentage was. So we got over 3x from that little pump there. And you can see that that's exactly where we started to face resistance for the first pump attempt. So I think something very similar could happen in the next market cycle, being this one that we're in currently. Just because, like I said, those are my favorite Fibonacci lines. I would be very surprised, actually, if we just blasted right through and just carried on a parabolic run from there. I think it makes a lot more sense that we would face some rejection, and whether that was a couple times or just once before we break out, we're going to have to see, but I would expect to face a lot of resistance there. So that is something to keep in mind, you guys. One other thing that is a little alarming, which could be very bearish, but we're going to have to see what happens here, is if I bring up my 200-week moving average. I know I've pointed this out in the past, but we are very much so respecting it as resistance currently. You can see that our candle wicks, rather than bodies, our wicks are wicking right up to that 200-week moving average. Bitcoin has never really stayed below this level long. You can see with our COVID dump, yes, we had one close below, right back above, and just started a bull market there. The bottom of our last bear market, you can see we even got a little bit of a double bottom on the weekly along those levels. And just as far back as it goes, you can see that's kind of where the price started to run up. So I think that's a very important moving average as far as the macro time frames go. So that is something to consider. I have no idea what Bitcoin will do if it actually faces a harsh rejection off that level. Things could be a little scary for quite a long time if that happens. I'm really hoping that since our RSI is actually climbing, we're getting a bit of a bullish divergence here. I'm hoping that this weekly candle or the next will actually close the body above this 200 week moving average. And if that happens, I think in that case, the price would be looking for quite a large move to the upside. And even if we made it to that 618 rejection point, like I was talking about, if we went from about the 200 week moving average up to that level, well, you'd be looking at over 100% pump to the upside. So that's a serious move. I mean, that's nothing to laugh at. That's definitely some good gains to be made in that range. Obviously, who knows what's going to happen for the long term here. The economy's a mess, inflation is out of control, all that sort of stuff. So we're going to have to see what happens. But in my opinion, once again, just really hammering this home that support is support until it's broken. So let's not lose focus of that, you guys. This line, like I said in the past, it really hasn't been tested too many times. However, it does date back all the way about 11 years. So I think there could be some strength behind that line. And also, just the whole resistance support flip. It doesn't get much more important of a resistance point than a market cycle top. So I think that would make for a very good bear market bottom level if we are to get that proper resistance to support flip. If we do end up getting that pump like I was talking about, I think this would look so obvious. I think Captain Hindsight would just be knocking on our door. That would just be, everyone would look back, and if you were to back test patterns, anything like that, you would think that this is absolutely a beautiful spot buy zone. Even if we do dump down lower and we get that capitulation wick or something like that, I just really don't think these levels as far as a spot buy are a bad idea at all. I mean, obviously none of this is financial advice. Do your own research, form your own opinions. But just everything that classic technical analysis would teach you is this looks like a beautiful buy opportunity. So not going to let that go to waste. Anyways, guys, I was away at the lake this weekend, so I am absolutely exhausted. I suffer from gingivitis with my red hair, so I mean, the heat was just exhausting for me. I need to take a break, so I am going to drink a bunch of water, and I think that's about all I have to say for you guys, so I'm going to go get some rest. But other than that, you guys know the drill. If you appreciated my take on the market conditions and what's going on, please do me a huge favor. Smash that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. And with that, stay safe, my friends. Peace.